So as you've heard a bit already this morning, consumers today more than ever expect brands to deliver personalized experiences for them, and the brands recognize how important it is to deliver those experiences to their customers so they can keep their most loyal customers. So as Babs said, I'm Donna Satterfield from IBM Consulting, and with me I have an esteemed panel of experts who are going to talk today about the topic of personalization. We're just going to go around the horn. I know he introduced them, but I'd love to have you tell us a little bit about what you do, your roles. So Abhi, I'll start with you.
Thank you. Glad to be here. So I lead contextual-based personalization. Think about the media side and how we can drive traffic, which is really, hyper-personalized and with targeted ads. And then you have a seamless experience on various digital channels, including app, mobile web, and web.
Hi, I'm Iona from Adobe. Great to meet you all. So I work in our Creative Cloud enterprise part of the business, but I focus on what we call content supply chain, which is actually stitching together pretty much our entire set of solutions across the Adobe ecosystem to help manage content at scale, to deliver, produce, analyze that content. So great to be with you today.
Good morning. Am I on? Good morning. My name is Doug Boccia. I am the head of data and tech partnerships for the Weather Company. And my team's role is to work with our ecosystem partners like Adobe to integrate our data into their tech stacks to provide value to their clients. And I love the fact that we're having a panel about personalization because one of obviously the main use cases for weather data is personalization at scale. We like to say there isn't a business or a consumer on the planet that isn't impacted by weather on a daily basis. And when you understand that intersection between user behavior and contextual signals, there's a near limitless amount of use cases that you can develop to create hyper-personalized experiences.
And my name's Justin from IBM Consulting. I lead our Adobe business globally, so I lead a team of experts that work with clients to help them transform customer experience powered by Adobe technology.
Awesome. All right, so Abhi, let's start with you. I'd like to know, how is Verizon tackling customer experience personalization, and where would you say you are on the journey?
That's a good one. I mean, journey, I think it's ongoing, that hyper-personalization, which we all have been talking about and dreaming, I think it's becoming a reality now. And with so much tech stack and, tech partners, we are literally able to target and bring traffic in real time and personalize website experiences. So I'll give you an example. Let's say, you click on ad, and then if you are a, let's say, Apple Propense customer, so entire hero image on the website would be talking about the Apple promo, and the grid wall will have, the Apple products, and even the promoted accessories would be Apple related. So that's personalization, which we are leveraging, starting from the media and bringing them into the properties.
So along the way, what kinds of successes or hurdles have you had?
I think the most important hurdle was data integration, because as you're moving traffic from different channels and bringing them into one, try to give a one unified seamless experience. That's one of the biggest challenge which we have faced. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Iona, Adobe is a key partner in this space with its long-standing mission of changing the world through digital experiences. What has Adobe been doing to enable personalization at scale, and how to create the content for these experiences, specifically using Gen AI?
So, yeah, we've been on a long journey with a lot of our large brands, and IBM is a fantastic partner in this space. So a lot of our customers are now enabled with a marketing tech stack that enables them to deliver personalized or hyper-personalized experiences at scale. However, what we actually are focusing on now is the problem of content and managing the content supply that needs to pump those experiences and needs to become more and more targeted to the different audiences they're serving, but also to lift it up to a new level of quality and value to the customers, to be able to cut through the noise of all of the content that we're being bombarded with. So a lot of the challenges that we're hearing from our customers around that kind of pipeline of content is that their teams are very siloed, they're disconnected, and be that working with agencies or in-house studios, working with their marketing teams, their data teams, their strategy teams, everyone's using different systems, everyone's duplicating effort, they're having to leave their core tools in order to enter data into different systems and work in different ways. So this kind of siloed, disconnected way of working really gets in the way of scale. The other thing that happens is that data gets dropped at every single stage of the process, even in the creative process. Every time you make something new from different assets, unless you reassociate that metadata, you lose all of that copyright material and all of that copyright data. So having this connected data flow across the entire ecosystem, from planning through to producing, through to delivery, and then analyzing the performance of that content, then allows us also to surface those insights back into the creative stages of the process, to be able to use those audience insights to make better targeted content going forwards, but also to intelligently commission assets. Because we see a huge amount of assets being commissioned, not used, not performing, not being able to surface by other parts of the business globally. So we have this huge kind of sustainability issue as well, where content's being produced multiple times over. And I'll just say one other area is also being able to deliver beyond human scale. So it's no longer okay just to throw humans at this, to offshore or to make them copy and paste into 100 more templates every single day. We need to be able to introduce systems of automation where we can, to remove that repetitive, mundane nature of the job, and also to be able to use that data that we collect at the briefing stage and the audience stage to drive that personalization and adopt new innovative ways of working, such as 3D, to enable virtual photography shoots. Instead of having to always go out and film and photograph products, we can now create really impressive content just from your laptop. And as you mentioned, generative AI, which I think we'll talk about more a little bit later. We are a leader in this space, and we're super excited. Another area of my focus, where you're able to now create content that didn't exist before, that again can answer these more location-based, targeted content pieces that you might want to produce.
That's great. A lot going on in this
A lot
space,
going
so,
on.
yeah, super.
Try to be concise.
Doug, you talked a little bit in your opening about all of the data that we collect and how relevant the weather data really is. It has such powerful potential for creating highly contextual and actionable communications. So, and in real time, right? Because the weather's happening like right now. Can you speak to this a little bit and about how the weather company's partnership with Adobe, specifically pulling weather data into Adobe Experience Platform, is helping to enable this?
Yeah, so I got to say, we are incredibly excited for this partnership because we feel like it allows us to enhance and accentuate some of the core functionality that exists within the Adobe Experience Platform, and that really revolves around analytics, personalization, and segmentation. So the way it works is we make all of our data is available via an API. We've integrated hundreds of weather triggers into the Adobe Experience Platform, and those triggers update at a very granular level, at a zip code level every 15 minutes, so it's near real-time data. So when a user goes to an Adobe site, every interaction that they have with that site, we wind up appending weather data to that interaction. Now, the unique thing about weather data is that we not only have one, but we have multiple data elements that we can apply to every single user interaction. Because if you think about it, every single user has a current condition, every single user has a forecasted condition. We also have product-related triggers, activity-related triggers. So when a user goes to a home page, we append every active weather data element to that user interaction. Then they navigate to a product detail page. Again, we append all that data. They put something in their cart. They read an article. They download. They download an app. They convert. So in a very short period of time, we wind up building this very big corpus of data around your user interactions and the weather elements that were present at that time. So then you can use the ML and AI capabilities within Adobe's Analytics suite to draw and understand those correlations between user action and those contextual weather signals. You can then move that data into personalization at scale and create personalization strategies within Adobe to be able to have those one-to-one conversations with users. And then since we've enriched all this first-party data, we can also use that to segment audiences. So you can build audiences if you can identify an audience that performs better when it rains versus when it snows versus when it's nice outside. You can use that to segment audiences that you can not only use in your personalization strategy, but that you can also push out into other channels, whether it be social, search, email, CRM campaigns, to be able to create those one-to-one experiences with individual users.
So Doug, just staying with you for a second, can you give us a specific example of this kind of data-fueled personalization?
Yeah, I was trying to think. Look, I would say that there are. I'll give you two quick examples. One which I would think is real-time personalization, and one which is forecasted. And real-time, I think a good example of this is, say, the healthcare industry. So I read a stat that said patients with chronic conditions, over 40% of them don't seek treatment until the onset of symptoms. So the easy one here is allergies. So you think about how weather can impact this. In the United States, if you're a CVS or a Walgreens, you might get to, say, the beginning of February, early March, when the weather starts to turn in the southern part of the United States and pollen becomes prevalent. You say, okay, well, now it's time to start advertising antihistamines and medications on the site. But at that same time, if you're in North Dakota or you're in Michigan or in Boston, it's still freezing and there's still snow on the ground. So instead of having a one-size-fits-all strategy, you can use personalization down to the zip code level to understand what pollen count is in individual locales. And then for those customers that come to a CVS or Walgreens, you might lead with your antihistamine products, whereas in the northern part of the United States, it still could be cold and flu season, so you're leading with those types of products. The other one, when I think about forecasted, is real time is great, but there are certain businesses that are thinking about customer interaction into the future. So I think about something like home improvement, or sports apparel, or short-term travel. So if you're a home improvement company, they know, and they know their customer behavior is that their customers plan what they're going to wind up doing on the weekends, late Wednesday night and early Thursday. So they want to win Thursdays. So if I'm at home on a Thursday and it's beautiful out, but the forecast for the weekend is going to be cold and rainy, they're better off serving me ads for indoor products or projects that I can do inside, such as paint or electrical supplies or plumbing. Whereas if the weather where I am on a Thursday is rainy, but it's going to be nice outside, then you're more likely to lead with outdoor products like fertilizer and mulch and potting soil, because you're still providing a contextual message, but it's when they're going to wind up using that product and leaning into that service that you're trying to create that connection.
Doug, can this be applied to outdoor advertising too? Think about billboards and all, real time.
Great question, which wasn't planned. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, no, it's good.
No, yes, weather data is available to any digital format. So, desktop, mobile, CTV, digital out of home, email, search, social, anything with a digital input.
Thank you. And I live in Michigan, and I'm here to report that it's time for the antihistamines finally in Michigan.
There you go.
And Abhi, why don't you give us an example of how Verizon is personalizing experiences? I'm a Verizon customer, so what are you doing to personalize my experience?
Yes, let's talk about our My Verizon app, which has been downloaded by almost 20 million users. And what we focus is on hyper personalization within the app. We have our Up Rewards program. So now, if you are in a local area, we would show you personalized ads based on your interests. And the promos and actually, the rewards are catered to your individual taste and preferences. So that's again, hyper personalization, one example. Another one is that, if we don't have to discount, why offer you a discount code? If I know a particular customer is willing to pay full price, there is no need to offer any kind of discount to him during his entire purchase funnel as he's moving from top of the funnel to the end of the funnel. So these two examples we use.
Okay, I would like the discount. Okay. Justin, one of the biggest questions that we hear from clients is, how do I get started? What recommendations can you give us there?
So I've got 3 recommendations based on my experience. The first being start with the customer experience and work backwards. And I think specifically on this, a lot of people, when they think about personalization, they think about the sexy use cases, the generative AI, the sort of Minority Report-esque experience. And there are plenty of clients that we're working with on similar use cases in terms of we're working with a luxury goods company to provide their brand experience through the metaverse, working with a telco to help transform their customer service powered by virtual agents and generative AI. But actually, I think personalization, there's a lot of other levels to this. So I think about some of the work that we've done that I'm most proud of. We worked with the Scottish government to help them transform the experience for their citizens to be able to apply for benefits. Not particularly sexy, but super crucial for those people that need access to the money to feed their families, etc. Or with a mortgage company, helping pre-populate all of the forms that you need to fill in, typically 3 or 4 times with the same information, making that automatic. So, first recommendation would be start from the customer experience and work backwards, and think not just about the sexy stuff, but about the hygiene that's actually going to make your customer's life easier. Second recommendation would be, I think a lot of organizations are trying to experiment with personalization just in pockets of their organization, whereas actually to deliver some of the use cases that Abhi and Doug and Iona spoke about, it requires the entire organization working together. So bring together different stakeholders from across your organization so you truly can put the customer at the heart of the experience you're trying to deliver. And then the third recommendation would be, recently, IBM, we've published a piece of thought leadership jointly with Adobe, the 5 pillars of personalization, which are, firstly, to establish responsibility for customer experience. Secondly, to embed a customer-centric way of working within your organization. Thirdly, is to, and Doug spoke about this, to unify customer data and create individual customer profiles. Fourthly, to maximize the value of advanced analytics. And fifthly, to create a fully integrated, synchronized technology ecosystem. And one way to start would be to do a readiness assessment against each of those areas to determine what level of maturity your organization currently is, and therefore define very specific, actionable items that you can progress in each of those areas. So there would be my 3 top tips, Donna.
Awesome, thank you. So I'd actually like to close by looking to the future. And Iona, we talked a little bit earlier about Gen I, but where is Gen I taking us?
Let's talk about the sexy stuff now. So Adobe's very, very much leaning into the generative AI technology space. We have some huge announcement coming thick and fast with Adobe Firefly. So if you haven't come across it, do take a look. You can join a free beta. You can try it out. It's incredibly impressive. It blows all of our minds. And we are integrating this into a lot of our desktop applications as well as providing it as a web service, so into Illustrator and Photoshop. Now, the way that we view generative AI is it's definitely not replacing humans. So it's absolutely supporting and enabling human and creatives to do their best work, to be their best human selves, which is incredibly important to us. We've based all of our solutions on a content authenticity service as well. So all of the credentials get attached to all of the content that's produced through generative AI, so that you've got really, really good confidence in being able to use that content for final work. And also that the artists involved and all of the imagery that's drawn upon, they will be compensated. They will be rewarded for that piece of work. So I just wanted to state that first of all. What we're seeing is a lot of agencies, a lot of brands leaning in really well to the generative AI space. I know, there's big CPG companies and their agencies that are having weekly meetings about how they work with Gen AI. And this is an area that's moving fast. So I think that's actually really sensible. So we're starting to get these policies developing now around how that can be used. a lot of the big companies, before they have that sort of real confidence in the credentials of the work, which I believe we'll get to really fast with them, are using it in those iterative stages. So to get much faster to many more ideas and to be able to communicate those ideas to many more stakeholders much earlier in the process. And I think that has huge value in being able to get to an agreement of everybody's on the same page. We know what it's going to turn out like, even if this isn't the final piece of work. And what it enables you to do is save a lot of time and resource later on down in the production process, where you make, for example, being in an expensive film situation on set, on location, and end up with something that isn't what the stakeholders originally imagined, because they hadn't been shown that visualization. So I think there's huge benefits. We've got a lot to come from the Adobe space, and I'd love to talk to any of you who've got any interest in generative AI after the session.
Awesome. Okay, so real quick, as we wrap up, I want to do a quick speed round. Each one of you, final thought, tip, recommendation. Abby, let's start with you.
Move with caution. AI would be your co-pilot. Don't make it the main driver.
I would say take an agile approach to this sort of transformation, where you are finding where you're going to get the most value quickly from the work that your teams do, from the output of that content, but continue to review and adapt in terms of the transformation and where you go next.
From a personalization perspective, I would just say start. Just get started. You have so many choices. I think you can almost wrap yourself around the axle in terms of trying to plan every single scenario. It is okay to fail. There's learning and failing, but you're also going to have those successes. And as long as you build on those, you're going to be fine.
So to complement Doug's point, I totally agree in terms of get started, but I think a lot of organizations are talking about personalization at scale, and they might be doing the personalization bit, doing a bit of experimentation, a use case here or there, but struggling with the at scale. So totally get started, but do it in a manner that you're actually able to scale it across your entire organization, across all of your customer touch points.
No, I think every digital touch point can be personalized.
I think they're all in agreement, so that's great. And I would encourage you, we're going to be around here for a while if you all have questions for folks on the panel. If you have questions, feel free to ask now. Or the other thing that I'd encourage you to do, there are some great workspaces in the back of the room. I'd encourage you to stop by and take a look. They're all waving at you right now. So any questions from the audience? If not, we'll wrap it up, and I'll let you guys meet with our panel as you want. All right. So thanks
All
for
right.
your time.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much, guys.